Hi, welcome to Mind Matters channel. Today I'm going to teach you Milgram's study of obedience, 1963. So it's also one of the social influence. So to understand how people are obeying authority blindly. So this research is obviously showing you how people are, listening the orders and following the orders from hierarchy. Okay. So today our learning object is understand the background and aims of Milgram study, explore the methodology and key finding, analyze the ethical considerations involved, discuss real-world applications of obedience research. So understanding human behaviors and authority, right? So we are learning about the obedience, how people are obeying, even though if they don't like or if they are not agreeing with the order, but they are trying to obey, right? So obeying their authority. Every day, day-to-day life, we are obeying to authority. We can start from the home to just employment. Like, we are obeying parents' orders when you are living with your parents, or when you are living with your carers, then obviously you are obeying. And also when you go to school, you are obeying the order of the school, maybe teachers or maybe staffs, you are just obeying them, isn't it? So when you go to the work, then you are obeying your manager or your hierarchy. So you are every day you are obeying the orders. Somehow you are obeying the orders, right? So why it's happening? Why you are obeying the orders? Because there are two things. One is obeying order is really important in your life. So if you're not obeying your order, then obviously you'll be get negative consequences. Therefore, you are obeying. The other one is like because you are obeying because you are not you are not seeing that whether it's good or bad because you are obeying because of your hierarchy saying that. So whether you are obeying the orders, right? So the if you are if you're following their orders, then it's obviously you hurt someone, or maybe if you do something bad, but still you are doing it, right? So it's a two types of obeying involving, right? Two reasons to obeying. So what does obedience mean to you? So everyone have the mean a different way, but I'm asking you, what does obedience mean to you? So for example, workplace obedience at the hierarchy. I can see this one. You are working, your manager is there, then you are obviously obeying your hierarchy. So when you see the workplace, this is chief executive officer is the hierarchy most of the time. Then second power person is middle management, and the operational staff is a little bit less power, entry level, and also administrative staff include roles such as receptionist, office assistant. So they are the least hierarchy people here, but each of them are obeying the CEO, right? Why they are obeying? Because they have purpose, because they want to keep, they want to sustain the employment. Therefore they are obeying this person, isn't it? So they know if they are not obeying, then obviously uh, it's obviously you will just sack from the work, isn't it? So even though if you are discussed, your manager will ask you something like, oh, do you have any question or anything? So you have a different opinion, but still you are obeying because you have some purpose. Okay. So when you see in the class, authority plays a significant role by setting expectations and shaping behaviors which people tend to follow automatically. So obviously in this classroom, the teacher has authority, isn't it? He has a power. So you are students, you are obviously listening the teachers, the lectures, and whenever the teachers ask you the question, you obviously ready to answer the questions, right? Yeah. So that's of course the one other settings, you're obeying your teachers. However, in this case, teaching, when you are teaching, then you obviously keep on asking question. If you have any question time, if the teachers ask you, then obviously you have you have rights to ask the questions, right? In some point, in some places, then you can't ask any questions. You just follow the orders, right? So that's even though you are disagree with that, but still you are just following the order, and you just um, you just implement the order, okay? uh, Implement the order from the hierarchy. So I'm going to give the case studies. In high school classroom, a new teacher introduced a strict rule: no speaking without raising your hand first. Over time, students follow the rule without questions, even when it seems unnecessary, such as during casual discussions or group work. One day, a substitute teacher arrives and tells the student they can speak freely. However, many students continue to follow the original rule, hesitant to speak without permission. But in this scenario, you understand the teacher set the rule. Whenever, if the student have any question, they obviously always raising the hand, always need to raise the hand, then ask the questions, right? That is the rule where the teachers set in the classroom, right? But it's automatically the students follow the rules. The teacher condition I mean, the student were conditioned by the teacher to follow the rules, right? So already there, right? But suddenly the scenario changed. The substitute teacher came and tried to teach in the classroom, but still, obviously, the students obviously follow the same rules, even though the substitute teacher didn't tell anything like anything, any. She didn't just tell any orders, but still they are just use the previous the rules, right? So the question is, I'm going to ask the question, so what role does authority play in shaping behavior in these situations? What role does the authority play in shaping behavior in this situation? They because in our system, we just go to school and we always listen to the student teachers, right? So if you just not to listening the teachers, then it's of course it's you are just your teacher will send you in detention, or maybe you will get any behavior points or anything like any negative impact will come. Therefore you are listening obviously teachers rules, and not to asking any questions. Yeah, because the previous teacher already just set the rule, then the students are following the rules, even though the supplement teacher, even she didn't set the rules, right? But it is already inbuilt, the rules, right, in our mind, and then we are following without asking any questions. So the teacher is the authority, so obviously we already know we need to follow the teacher's order. Otherwise, we will get negative impact, right? That's the answer. I think let's go to the answer. So that's what I mentioned here. Conditioned to obey authority. So we all are conditioned to obey something in our life. So we need to condition, because when we since childhood we know we need to obey someone, right? So the without obeying someone is not it's not a we need to follow the parents order or teachers order, or maybe employers order. So it's already our system is allowing us to just for listen this or obeying this order, right? The next one is fear potential consequences, because the reason is we are fearing about the consequences, what will happen if we not obeying teacher's order. Obviously we'll get detention, we'll get bad behavior point, and also teacher will note you whenever if you're not listening teacher's rule, it's going to be a problem for you. So it's like a fear of potential consequences. I just show one example from the school setting. When I just explain on the office or working place. So the consequences is like, you'll be sacked by your manager if you're not obeying the order, isn't it? So therefore you are just listening, even though if you have a different opinion. And also your financial situation is really impact on it, because if you're not listening your manager's order, you will sack. Then you don't have money, right, to run your family. So you are obeying that. What would you happen if a student challenged the rule? So, for example, if the teachers tell you that, can you please raise raise your hand whenever you have a question, or if you want to ask any question, please raise your hand. Without raising your hand, then I'm not going to answer the question. So that is her. She was set up the rule. But what would happen if a student challenged the rule? If the students challenge the rule, the happen is like two things happen. The teacher obviously send the student to, obviously, the intervention, or she will be sent to the intervention team. She will watch like one time, she will watch second time. If the student not to following the order, then she will take an action, right? That's the class rules. That's the one thing. And also the other side, when you see the other side, other effect is, if one student challenge to ask the questions, the next student will be there, right? They are trying to ask the questions, and also they are obviously uh, follow the follow the peer who asked the question, like, who challenged the rule. And also next person will join, next person will be join, next person will be joined. It's kind of its majority power will be there. And then teacher can't do anything. So therefore, normally in secondary school, most of the time, any you want to tell a different opinion, then you just go with the group, like not individual person talk with the teacher. Then if you make a group, then they will be, or mostly consider your, the point, or consider your idea, or consider your uh, whatever you asking. Then they will consider, rather asking one person in your class, or half the class is asking this question, raising these questions, then they will take, yeah, they will take, and they will consider to change those things, right? So this is what happened, right? I just explain you two effect will be happen. The one is like, the negative effect, which is like teacher will send an intervention if the one person asks, or two-person asks. But if the majority people are just keep on asking this question, asking the question, why we want to, obviously, raising our hand or something, then she might change the different things, right? So yeah, this is called the authority power, isn't it? Authority power is, playing a major role in our life. So if students challenge the rule, it might encourage others to question it as well, or they could face social pressure to conform. Okay. 1939 to 1945, millions of innocent persons were slaughtered on command. Gas chambers were built, death camps were guarded, and innocent Jewish people were tragically killed by the German army and police. So why this has happened? Because of, in Nazi Germany, Hitler was the ultimate authority figure. He used fear, propaganda, and national pride to make obedience seems like loyalty, and disobedience seems like betrayal. People weren't born evil. They were taught to obey, and under pressure, fear, and consent messagings, many does to follow instead of questions, right? That's the terrifying power of obedience. Yes. So the people were followed Hitler's order because of the, I already mentioned, right? Taught to, taught to obey, and also under pressure, and also so they can't ask any questions, right? Fear of, dying. So they just follow. So this is one of the good example of how far terribly people obey and killing innocent people. So therefore the Milgrams, who was thinking about this, why these, I mean, the normal German troops and German people kill this, try to support Hitler to kill these innocent Jewish people during the Second World War. Therefore, he want to just do the research and find out why the people conform, okay? Why the people are just obeying the authority, right? So the description is, Milgrams wanted to understand how ordinary people could commit harmful acts when instructed by an authority figure, inspired by events like the Holocaust. Because he was inspired by Holocaust, right? Why? Why the people killing the normally innocent people? right? The study aimed to test whether people would follow orders even if it meant harming others. So that's the basic idea of he want to find out why the people are doing it. Okay, let's go to the methodology. The participants, 40 male volunteers, recruited through newspaper ads and each paid £4.50. So they recruited and also they paid £4.50, right? They come for the money, right? So the procedure is participants were told they were part of a study on learning and memory because they don't know what Milgram is going to test. Only they know this is a part of his experiment and also it's about the learning and memory task. They were assigned the role of teacher. They are obviously assigned the role of teacher, while an actor, I already mentioned in my previous video, the actors is like, the Confederates who is involving this research and supporting Milgram, right? So they are obviously actor, but in this research, they are played the learner. They play the learner part, right? So the teachers is the actual participants, right? The learner is the researchers, right? The learner was placed in another room and the teacher was instructed to administrate electric shocks. The learner was placed in another room and the teachers are different room, right? The teacher was instructed, actually the participant was instructed to, administrate electric shocks, right? Giving electric shock for incorrect answer, right? The shocks increased in intensity from 15 voltage to 450 volts. So whenever like the learners make mistake, obviously they have to increase the volt up to 450. But at the meantime, they know, most of the people, everyone know that if you increase the voltage more than the 300, then it's harm the people. People, obviously, a person will be die, right? So this is the scenario. So the 50, if any learners make mistakes, then they need to increase the voltage, right? But actually, this is not the real shocks because Milgrams just because of the teachers know, teachers obviously they think that this is the real shock, but actually this is not the real shock. Okay, so, if the teacher hesitated the experiment, authority figure would give verbal prompt. If the teachers, obviously, they don't want to kill, they don't want to give more than 300 voltage if the learners make mistakes. When the learners make mistake, but however, the authority figure was Milgrams. He wore the white coat and he just command authority figure. Would you give verbal prompt like, please continue? You have no other choice. You must go on. So the Milgrams, obviously, if they are obviously they obviously hesitate to just uh, give the electric shock. Yeah, so I mean like more higher voltage. But Milgram was just push the teachers to just give the electric shock. Please continue. You have no other choice. You must go on. So he just give give the authority, and then obviously most of the the teachers, the participants just tried. They just went for more than the 300 voltage. They're ready to kill the people. I mean, like, without realizing it, they're ready to just kill the people, right? Because of this authority. Okay, kill the means it's not actually they just harm the learners, but psychologically they are ready to do that. Okay, their mind is obviously because of this Milgram's pushing Milgram's word. They just trust the Milgrams and then they just follow the Milgrams rules. So summary of finding is results: most participants continue to administrating shocking even at dangerous levels when press when pursued by authority. About 65% went to the maximum 450 volts. So the 65% went to the maximum of 450 volts, right? And conclusion is ordinary people are likely to obey authority figures even if it means harming others, showing the power of social influence and the obedience. So the normal ordinary people are likely to obey authority figure. Yeah, because if it means harming others, showing the power of social influence and obedience. This research is reflecting the power of the social, the obedience. The people just obey, even though you are harming other people. still you are, just listening the authority. Okay. So when I see the ecological validity, this term is whenever you go to any research, the ecological validity is there. So when we see the ecological validity in terms of the Milgram's research, first of all, we need to understand what is the ecological validity. So ecological validity refers to how well the finding of study can be generalized to real life settings, which means he had done the research and he found the results, but how well the finding of his study can be just generalized to the real life scenario. So because of that was happening in the laboratory, and all the variables are controlled by milligrams, and all the settings are there because of everything's like a settings, isn't it? Laboratory. But whenever you go to the real life scenario, how it's happened? Is it we can generalize his idea because so how far we can generalize? From that point we measure, like the 65% of the participants try to go to, like 60, more than the 300 voltage, isn't it? So same scenario will happen in real life. Is it possible? So that is called generalized. If it is possible, then means this research is ecological validity, isn't it? So it's obviously this research is help to understand, to find out the obedience, right? So this research is definitely ecological validity because in real life scenario the people do it, right? Because for example the Hitler's World War, and also um, we can see just like a war in the army is just following the government order, even though you need to kill innocent people, isn't it? So it's because of the rules, isn't it? They're obeying the authority. Yeah. And also there are lots of things we can see in ecological validity. We can obviously generalize this research, because if anything happen anywhere, but the people are so afraid to just telling their own view, because they think like fear of just telling the truth, or at the meantime they don't want to just stand out the group, and also they see the consequences. If they say anything, everything will be changed, it will be affect their life. So it's not my business. So it's a government mistake, or it's a authority mistake, so they don't want to take their head on that. Okay. So this is called, yeah, this is the Milgram study. Let's move on to the next slide. Milgram's agency theory. So therefore the Milgrams come across this, introduce the two level of stages of the human being. So he introduced the agency theory. So the people are operate two levels. So the one is he called like autonomous individuals. So which is called autonomous individuals, means behaving voluntarily and aware of the consequences of their actions. The people are obviously voluntarily just obeying and aware of the consequence of their actions. Because some people are very individualistic, so if they are obviously, they, if anything wrong happened or anything they don't want to just participate, they obviously behaving voluntarily and aware of, because, and also they know the consequences, so they just raise their voice, and obviously they just leave the place, or they just show their opinion, those type of things. Those are called and autonomous individuals, right? The next one is the agentic mental states. The people got this state as well. So an individual perceives themselves as an agent follower acting on behalf of an authority figure. So the thing, like as I previously mentioned, compared to the German troops, they know this is bad. The Hitler's done, Hitler's killing, the innocent Jews were killed by Hitler. But the thing is, they don't want to take those things in their shoulder. So they think like we need to follow the Hitler's order. So therefore it's not my mistakes, it's Hitler's mistake. So I just working for Hitler's, we are living in Hitler's the state, so we follow the Hitler's order. So acting on behalf of authority figure, right? So this is two states is really important. Maybe in your exam they will ask you the autonomous individuals and the agentic mental states, right? These two of them are, you need to understand when you learn about the obedience. So so here question, describe two psychological process that keeps explain why people obey authority. So we need to go here and write it down. Autonomous state, isn't it? Autonomous, N-O-M-O-U-S, autonomous mental state. Agentic mental state, A-G-E, agentic mental state, isn't it? Autonomous mental state and the agentic mental states. So that's fine. Okay, let's move on to this. Okay, here strength and the weakness of the Milgrams, as I previously mentioned. So we need to, whatever the research in psychology they made and they introduced the hypothesis, but we already get ready to analyze or get ready to just evaluate strength and the weakness of the study. So when you see the Milgram study, it has a high control. So because that's what I'm saying, the lab settings Milgrams to control variables, ensuring that the procedure was consistent for all participants. So the high control means, like, all the variables are controlled by the researcher, as well as all the participants, all the procedures, all the procedures was consistent for all participants, means or equally the participants get the procedure equally treated. Okay, that's how the research has high control. So when you explain the high control, if you write high control, they won't give you marks. You have to explain why this is high control. Okay, and also real world applications. The finding helps explain real life obedience, such as why people follow harmful orders, example in war or unethical workplace. So when you write real world applications, they won't give you marks. You need to explain. His finding help to apply in the real life obedience, and to understand how the people are obeying the harmful orders. And also you have to give some example in war or unethical workplace. And the next one is the replicable. The study has been repeated in various settings with similar results, supporting its reliability. So because during that time, he conducted in a various setting, still obviously they obviously he has, I mean, like, the results were same results comes, right? So people are just get ready to just harm the people, right? So this is called the replicable. This study can replicable, right? So those are the three strengths. So when you see the weakness, the sample bias, again, same like in the ASH studies, because of sample bias, the study used only male participants from the US, limiting how well the results apply to different genders and cultures. Yes. So he also used the male participants, not the female participants. And also he didn't choose any cultural different variant. There's no cultural variance there. So if he just hire the female participant, they might react differently, isn't it? So if you have like a different culture people, different people who come from the different culture, or he conducted in different place, different country, then it might be a different scenario. So he will get the different outcome, right? So that's you can, when you write the sample bias, is really, he got a very specific sample. So that's it's not represent the population. Therefore, this is one of the weakness of his studies. Then the ethical issues. The ethical issue is really important, because whenever you do this psychological research, you have to always make sure to protect the participants, right? Psychologically, you have to protect the participants. Participants were deceived and exposed to psychological stress, which raises concerns about informed consent and harm. So initially, normally participant need to sign out, but when he sign out, when the participants sign that time, then he didn't mention what he's going to measure, right? And also, after the research, most of the time, the experimenter, they obviously, debrief the experiment. They're supposed to debrief, and it's not real or something like that. They need to tell. But the thing is, he also debriefed. But at the meantime, still the participant got the psychological stress for 1 hour or 2 hours, because they thought like they try to harm the person. Then sometimes they might die or something. So they are obviously they got like this psychological stress. Most of the participants, they got it, right? And so it's really important so ethical issue is not to maintain in this research. So even though if he debrief, but still the ethical issue is not maintained, right? The next one is the people in this study didn't fully understand what they were signing up. Yeah. So they don't know what obviously Milgram trying to measure, right? So because they were tricked about what the experiment was really about, because he tried to measure how far the people are obeying authority, but actually they just called by remembering and memory task. Okay, so this is you need to make sure to, whenever asks you to evaluate, then you have to give three strength and the three weakness of this experiment. So we learn about the Milgram's obedience to authority today. It's one of the part of the social influence. Thank you very much for listening my the teaching. So I'll see you next clip in, I think, Zimbabwe studies. Oh, thank you very much. See you soon.